Paul becoming a Christian would be like Tyler Robinson becoming the next Billy Graham. So my perspective on Paul has almost entirely changed in the last few days. I was reading my Bible, and I was reading about Paul's conversion experience. He was Saul, and he was a Pharisee. He was a persecutor of the church. Not only was he a persecutor of the church, but Stephen, who was the very first martyr, Paul was actually there. He was at the public execution of Stephen. So he wasn't just like a so-so guy. He wasn't just like oh, I don't like Christians kind of guy. He was willing to murder in cold blood a Christian just because they believed in Christ. And this is the first time I've read that and considered that since Charlie Kirk's assassination. And it kind of struck me as profound. I don't think we have the proper context of Paul, and we don't quite get how profound it is. We just think, oh, he was a bad guy, and we've seen bad guys. We've seen guys that have conversion stories in prison. They murdered people, and then they turn their life around, and they start to love Jesus. It's like, okay, that's great. That's awesome that God's grace covers that. But it would be like Paul becoming a Christian would be like if Tyler Robinson or whoever it was that actually killed Charlie Kirk, I don't know where you stand on that, who cares, that's not the point here, but whoever it was who killed Charlie Kirk, imagine it, let's just say it's Tyler Robinson. It would be like him becoming the next Billy Graham. It would be like him becoming the biggest evangelist on the face of the planet. Not only just like going out and witnessing to crowds, but he'd be actually facing public persecution himself. People would be ridiculing him for the sake of Christ. And not only would he'd be like Billy Graham level, selling out stadiums and evangelizing, and people would be getting baptized, and he'd be part of the revival of the church. It would be like him being the #1 Christian author. Paul wrote more than any other author in the early church. He wrote 13 letters at least that we know of. And it would be like Tyler Robinson having 13 Amazon bestsellers about Christian apologetics, about Christian theology, about the church. It would be absolutely wild to see somebody who murdered somebody in cold blood because they loved Christ, because they were evangelizing to crowds. And then he turns around and himself, because of the grace of Jesus, turns around and becomes the world's biggest evangelist. This has completely changed my perspective on Paul, because now when I read his letters, I'm reading somebody who once murdered somebody in cold blood, or was participating in the murder of somebody in cold blood because they followed Christ. And something happened in his life that was so profound that he himself had to follow that same path. It blows my mind.